Hello, this is Dover Wilkinson, and we're back with Old School Boxing Talk 14. Um, we're going to cover a few things here. One, I want to talk more about, get into this thing with HBO. And once again, the big news is one of HBO's chief supporters, Bob Arum, is taking his fighters and going to Showtime because HBO, because of their budget cuts, cannot afford to put on the fights. Now, Bob was going to put on a big card um, with Lomachenko versus Nicholas Walters, and another card on the undercard of that, and HBO kind of nixed it because it didn't fall into their budget restrictions. Now, that's a new one because HBO used to never have budget restrictions. HBO was like, you know, throwing a wallet down there, bang, we want this fight, bang. And now HBO is going through some budget cuts, and I don't know if they're losing money over the Time Warner. I don't think so, but it is what it is. It all leads back to me personally. I believe it all leads back to when HBO made the decision to stop having the best fighters, but only have a certain quality caliber of fighter. Now, HBO used to have this thing where they want the best guys on their network, regardless of what their style was. I mean, Pernell Whitaker. What's the difference between Pernell Whitaker and Floyd Mayweather? Not really a difference. The styles are pretty similar. Um, of course, Pernell would go for a knockout if it was a period, if it was there. Bottom line is, someone online, HBO and Floyd Mayweather, when Floyd Mayweather turned down their contract offer and called it a slave contract, HBO kind of got ass hurt behind that, and they decided from that moment on they were enemies. So Floyd Mayweather was public enemy number one. Unfortunately for HBO, Floyd Mayweather became the biggest star in boxing, and CBS lost MMA. When UFC bought up Strikeforce, and UFC has an exclusive deal with Fox, Showtime was like, we're number two in boxing. We just lost MMA. We need something to bring eyes to Showtime. Thus, Floyd Mayweather's a free agent. Hey, CBS Viacom came and made Floyd Mayweather's big ass deal. And Floyd said, hell yeah. When Floyd left HBO, not only did Floyd leave, Al Heyman left. And Golden Boy left. Now, Golden Boy was being run by Richard Schaefer because Oscar was doing whatever. Oscar was in rehab for one thing or another. And a lot of the fighters that were in the Golden Boy stable are advised by Al Heyman. So when, Golden Boy just say, okay, all of our top fighters are here with Al Heyman. These are Heyman guys. And the one thing Heyman doesn't do is Heyman's fighters do not sign with any promoter. Al Heyman doesn't link his fighter. He works with a promoter on a fight-by-fight basis. And Richard Schaefer knew that, but Richard Schaefer had such a good relationship with Al Heyman that wasn't no biggie. Okay, we'll take the act to Showtime. And Showtime, when they went there, they did big business for Showtime. And HBO was kind of in the flux of, oh my gosh. Mayweather, they saw the Mayweather-Canelo fight. Second biggest in boxing, his second biggest, third biggest in boxing history pay-per-view. HBO saw these numbers going to Showtime. They saw their dwindling numbers. So, of course, Richard Schaefer and Oscar have their falling out. Oscar takes command of Golden Boy. And Al Heyman and his fighters are no longer doing business with Golden Boy. So in steps Lou DiBella, in steps Warrior Boxing, in steps a bunch of these other guys that are promoters. Al Heyman's like, hey, would you like to promote this fight here between these guys here? And they're like, yeah, yeah. So now you got these other promoters, and they got fighters that's lined it. Hey, we'll go to Showtime, put them on ShowBox Next Generation. You know, Showtime's expanded its boxing program since it has no more Strikeforce, has no more MMA. So that money, shit, we put that money in boxing, and they made a shitload of money. You've seen since everything on Showtime got bigger and got better. Now HBO should have thought about this when before Floyd went there. Manny Pacquiao and Floyd, Bob Arum and HBO had a falling out. And because at that time when Bob Arum was upset because Al Heyman's fighters were getting all the good quality dates on HBO. And Bob couldn't get no dates on HBO. So Bob took Manny to Showtime. And he fought Shane Mosley. And honestly, I think the Mosley fight was the worst fight Pacquiao could have took because Shane Mosley really then showed everybody the right way, how you beat Manny Pacquiao. Shane Mosley exposed Manny Pacquiao in that fight. And after the Mosley fight, people pretty much knew, oh, this is what this guy just said. This guy walks in on right hand. He gets this guy with right hand all the time. It's something that Marquez knew, but people knew, but it was really now on a bigger base that people said, oh, shit. And that's when even people that might before thought Manny Pacquiao could beat Floyd, after watching him fight Mosley, said, no, he's not beating Floyd. People realized, no, he's not beating Floyd. No. So, that aside, Manny and Bob go back to HBO, yay. And the whole hype was on getting this fight with Floyd, making this fight with Floyd. Now, Floyd, of course, now fast forward back, Floyd leaves. HBO's, doesn't have much. All they have is, what did they have? Golden Oscar and what little limited stable he has. Went back to HBO. And now you got Bob Arum. So now you got Bob Arum, you got Kathy Duva. Those are the people supplying you with your fights. And they don't have a big stable. Excuse me, Bob Arum doesn't have a large stable of fighters. Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy don't have a large stable of fighters. Kathy Duva doesn't have a large stable of fighters. You're not getting a whole bunch of good fights. Because all the best fighters, those guys are advised by Heyman, and they're now all on Showtime. So Showtime's getting these awesome fights. But Al Heyman has all these clients. He realizes even Showtime can't give me a whole bunch of dates. So I need to come up with a new plan. And thus the PBC was born. While HBO and Bob Arum and Oscar De La Hoya were all crying and saying, oh, the PBC is going to be, they're going to be broke, they're going to be this, they're going to be that. The PBC wanted to be a success. It's successful. Keith Thurman's fight with Robert the Ghost Guerrero did 3-point-some million views on primetime boxing, primetime network TV. Keith Thurman's fight with Sean Porter did 3-point-some million views. Danny Garcia's fight with Robert Guerrero did 3-point-some million views. And Errol Spence Jr. just, topped the record for the highest watched boxing event, which was with Oscars, was Errol Spence did 6 million views when he just beat Bundu. So yeah, PBC ain't going no place. PBC is being a success. PBC is successful. And the thing about that is now you have boxing big fights coming back to network television. So now Al Heyman realized to go forward you had to go back. He did that. So now HBO's ass hurt. Now HBO, because they didn't have the big fighters, they didn't have the money to make. HBO said, we're going to put our money in a handful of fighters, and we're just going to, a handful of fighters. So we're going to have Gennady Golovkin, we're going to have Andre Ward, and we're going to have Sergey Kovalev. That's it. That's the list. Oh, and Chocolatito. Greg Chocolatito. Yeah, that's going to be, yeah. Well, bro, those 4 guys. But the trick now is that way we only have those 4 guys to worry about. We don't have any, or we can give all them all the dates. We put those guys in and build them up, and then eventually, of course, HBO wants to make them all pay-per-view stars because that's where the money is on pay-per-view. What HBO doesn't realize, or is slow to realize, what other people are realizing is pay-per-view is not what it used to be, and it's a dying art, and fans are not willing to shell out all this money for stuff, anymore. Now, what Al Heyman has shown them is I can put on a quality card on network TV where you get a quality card and you're not paying for it. And the networks are in for it because they're boxing, combat sports is big business to, they're cheap to produce and they're big bit. They bring in big raises and the sponsors love them. The sponsors love to get involved with that. So, that's it. But now HBO's problem is their budget cuts, and now they're about to lose Bob Arum. So now Bob Arum, if he's taking his fighters to Showtime, now you're down to Kathy Duva and Rock Nation and whoever the promoter for Chocolatito is. So that doesn't sound good, because if you think that Eddie Hearns and his stable of guys are going to come to HBO, you're wrong, because most of Eddie Hearns' guys are advised by Al Heyman. So they're going to be with the PBC, which is just now, the PBC is now getting ready to go international. Al Heyman now has a deal with one of the British television companies to bring the PBC to London, to bring the PBC to the UK. Now the PBC is going to be in Europe. Way to go, Al. So this is what's bothering HBO. Now, what I've heard rumblings of, and I'll investigate it further, is that HBO has now reached out an olive branch to Al Heyman and to Floyd Mayweather and Mayweather Promotions. And they have to. But Al Heyman and Mayweather Promotions are like, they're taking their time because we don't really need you. We got Showtime. We got the PBC. We're good. We got shit. We're good. But HBO wants that back because HBO realizes they made a mistake, and they're going to try to blame whoever they want to blame. They want to try to blame Ken Hurstman. I believe it goes beyond Ken Hurstman. I think it goes to some higher ups in Time Warner, in HBO itself, that really, were upset with Floyd. Now, other big news this week is that the wretched WBA, who's been saying for a long time that they want to get rid of all these championships they have in their divisions, has decided not to sanction the fight between Gennady Golovkin and Kell Brook. The WBA's reason is Kell Brook has never fought the middleweight division before. Now, a lot of people are going to think about this, but a lot of people are going to say, well, that's just changing. And it's not really with the WBA. They do some crazy shit, but once in a while, they're consistent. If you remember, it was the WBA who did not sanction Hagler versus Leonard. The WBA did not sanction that fight. The WBC did, but the WBA did not. And I believe the same reasons were the same. One, because of Leonard's inactivity, and two, because Leonard had never fought at middleweight. The WBA did not sanction Leonard versus Hagler. So when Leonard got the decision, those titles were automatically vacated. So Marvin Hagler only officially in the ring, he lost the WBC belt, but the WBA and the IBF did not recognize that belt when Leonard was given the decision. They vacated those two belts. Now, WBA has made it clear recently, after that, they came out with a statement saying that there will be a tournament similar to the one they have in the heavyweight division where Gennady Golovkin, Kell Brook, and Chris Eubanks Jr. must all get together and one other fighter. Well, all four fighters will get together in a tournament to crown one WBA champion in the middleweight division. So, how does this thing play out? That's interesting because Peter Jacobson said he wants to fight with Golovkin, and he said the thing is, like what Wall said, Golovkin and Tom Lowe, they don't want those fights. They're lowballing people. They lowballed. They sat there, and I still say that, they sat there and they promised Eubanks Sr. what he wanted. And when Eubanks Sr., instead of him sitting there and signing the damn contract, taking the junior sign it, Sr. read that contract. And Sr. said, whoa, there's a lot of shit missing. My money's not right. This ain't right. That ain't right. No, come on, man. Where's what we agreed upon? And they tool a fast one. Then the HBO and Tom Loeffler, they sit there and tell everybody nobody wants to fight Golovkin. Nobody wants to fight Golovkin. It's not that nobody wants to fight Golovkin. It's that this is prize fighting, man. You got guys that are making more money without him than they were with him. Peter Quillins makes $1.5 million fighting when he fought Danny Jacobs was $1.5 million fighting Peter Quillin. Danny Jacobs gonna make $1.5 million pretty much about the same right next week when he fights Sergio Mortis for the next time. How you gonna sit there and tell Danny Jacobs now we'll give you a fight, but we won't give it to you for $500,000? What the fuck you saying? I'm making 1.5 here without you. Now you're gonna try to no, that ain't working. That's not working for me. You're gonna sit there and do the same thing to Eubanks Jr. You're gonna cut the money, be like, no, come on, man. And then they want to say nobody wants to fight Golovkin, and Golovkin goes out there feeding y'all this bull. It's not that, it's that they keep lowballing them. They keep lowballing fighters. They keep lowballing them. And guys are like, yo, I'm not, come on, man. Now, a lot of people I see on the YTBC are anti-Golovkin. I'm not. I'm not anti any fighter. I'm anti-hype. I'm anti-guy. Look, I've been a boxing fan all my life. I was not a big Floyd Mayweather fan until he fought Shane Mosley, because my thing for boxing is I want to see a guy tested. I want to see what happens when you're hit, when you're hurt. What happens when you get hurt, when you go through adversity? Do you have the heart? When you're knocked down, you're cut, you have to pull your ass up off the canvas. When you fight somebody that's as good, if not, or not better than you on paper, that's your equal, and things don't go easy. The Mosley fight made me a believer in Floyd, because up until the Mosley fight, I really wasn't too sure. I wasn't too high on Floyd because I didn't think a lot of Floyd. The Mosley fight made me a believer in Floyd Mayweather. That fight did. Not the De La Hoya fight, not the Corrales fight, which I lost money on, not the Judah fight, nothing before. The Shane Mosley, not the Ricky Hatton fight, because I just felt that Floyd was better than all those guys and should do what he did against all of them. It was the Mosley fight. When Shane Mosley hit Floyd with that right hand in round 2, and Floyd had Floyd hurt badly in round 2 on 2 occasions. And Floyd Mayweather got through that, not only got through it, but came back and won the fight. That's when I said, you know what? Okay, maybe I got to rethink my thoughts on this guy. For Gennady Golovkin, the same thing. I want to see you tested. I want to see what you're made of. I want to see you fight somebody that's good. Not these tomato cans. Not these guys that aren't going to test you. I want to see you fight a Jacobs. I want to see you fight a Eubanks Jr. I want to see you fight a Peter Quillin if he stays at 160. He might go to 168. Maybe fight Anasari Alora, Dennis Demetrius Andreas. Fight somebody who's going to challenge you, so we can get some of the answers. That, what happens when Gennady Golovkin's cut? What happens when Gennady Golovkin's behind in a fight? What happens when you can't just walk somebody down? You know, what happens when you get hit with somebody can return fire and shake you up a little bit? How do you respond in those moments? Excuse me. That's what I want to see. And right now, the jury's out. I would say the same thing. I mean, I like Sergey Kovalev, but I would say the same thing about Kovalev. To me, with Sergey Kovalev, the jury's out because you haven't been tested. You haven't been in anything. You haven't been in a fight. You haven't been hurt. You haven't been, in a situation where they come from behind. You haven't been tested. I want to see what you're made of when you're tested. When things aren't going your way and the guy is just as good, if not better, and you have to pull it from your gut and you have to pull it out. That's what, to me, that's when I think a guy, I think Earl Spence Jr. is special. But again, Terence Crawford, special. But to me right now, I've seen Crawford in his fight with Gamboa where Crawford did get hurt. He got dinged before he knocked out Gamboa, and Crawford was hurt. And he had to get through that moment. So to me, on that level, Terence Crawford has been tested. So to me, on that level from the Gamboa fight, Terence Crawford showed me something like what happens when I get hurt, what happens when I get hurt? How do I respond to when I get hit and I get hurt? And he went through that with Gamboa, which is something that Golovkin hasn't done, which is something that Kovalev hasn't gone through yet. And we'll find out about Kovalev when he fights Andre Ward. Andre Ward, again, he's a guy that's been through the fire. He's a quality guy. He's been through the fire. Much respect for him. I have no question about Andre Ward. About how he responds in different situations, because he's been in those situations. He's fought those guys. He's had those fights. So that's going to be a good fight. I lean toward Ward in that fight. That's my thing with fighters. I mean, I want to see guys. I want to see guys get tested. I want to know what your mettle is, where's your heart at. I want to see. Keith Thurman has been through there. Keith Thurman, I have no question about Keith Thurman's heart because I've seen him. In fights, bodies, Keith Thurman should be susceptible to body shots. But, hell, Keith Thurman was in fights where he got rocked. He got dinged and he had to come through it. And he carried on like a champion. He got through it and came back and kept his composure and won the fight. So that's what I'm saying. Danny Garcia, he's had his moments. He had some rocky moments. He's had rocky moments. His fight with Judah, his fight with, he's had some rocky, his fight with Amir Khan. He was tested. He was put through the fire and he came through it. Like I said, Kell Brooks hasn't been tested that much because I don't think Sean Porter really tested him. Sean Porter's a guy, again, out of respect because he's been tested. A lot of these guys, that's my thing about these undefeated hype jobs, and that's what they are. They undefeated hype jobs because they haven't been tested. Like I said, I like Earl Spence Jr., but until Spence Jr. gets tested, we're not going to know what he's like. Until he gets hit with a good strong puncher and gets hit and gets hurt, we don't know what the fuck he's like. We don't know what he's about. We don't know. Those are questions we don't know. We don't know the answers to those questions. We don't know how he's going to respond. And that's one of my thing with Gennady Golovkin is what happens when you get into a fight? What happens when you get hit? What happens when you get hurt? What happens when you have to switch strategies because the strategy plan A isn't working? What do you have a plan B, C, or D? It's late in the fight and you have to go get a guy. Are you willing to go out and get? Are you willing to go out and get him? Are you willing to put yourself at risk when this guy has outboxed you? This guy has hit you and hurt you. Now you're behind and you got to put it all on the line and risk getting knocked out yourself to get the knockout. Are you willing to do that? Those are the fighters that show greatness. I sit there and I see a lot of the newbies, as I call them. And they're, or the newbies, the casuals, whatever the hell you want to call them. They were comparing Golovkin, saying Golovkin to Hagler, and I think that's a stupid comparison because we all know, anybody with any common boxing knowledge knows you can't compare it to, and two, if they did fight in their primes, Hagler kills Golovkin because we know what Marvin has. We knew what Marvin Hagler was a fucking animal. We know that. Marvin Hagler was, and the war says it all. It's one of the most classic fights ever. Hagler-Hearns, the war. That fight shows us that fight showed that, and the Mugabe fight show us Hagler's heart at his very best. And that's what we're talking about with Golovkin. You haven't shown us your heart. We've seen you got skill. I'm not going to say you don't have skill. We've seen your skill. We haven't seen your heart. And to me, that's what I want to see from a fighter. I want to see your heart. I want to see how much heart you have. That's one of the things. For me, that's one of the things. Like I said, I like guys. I'm not gonna, really go gaga over a guy until I know, this guy's for real. This guy's legit. Um, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this WBA tournament shakes out because I see they got one going at welterweight because Keith Thurman's new mandatory is his, I guess, the regular champion. Keith Thurman's going to fight. Next, this guy that I guess this guy beat Mosley him and Mosley fought for the WBA regular or interim title, whatever. And the guy beat Shane, and now he's going to fight Keith Thurman. And I kind of feel bad because Shane Mosley was on a run there. It would have been a good comeback story, as Shane Mosley beat this guy and became whatever, the interim or whatever. And then Shane Mosley fights Keith Thurman. That would have been something. And of course, we got a lot of good action coming into the welterweight division. Keith Thurman's going to fight, make his mandatory. Danny Garcia is going to fight Andre Berto. Of course, Pacquiao's going to fight. The kid he's going to fight. Damn, I can't think of his name right now. Jesse Vargas. I'm sorry, Jesse Vargas. And now there's also rumor that Kell Brook is going to vacate the IBF welterweight title. He's not going back to 147. And that either Sean Porter or one of the Peterson boy, the welterweight Peterson is going to fight. Lamont Peterson is going to fight my man there. Damn, forgot his name. Got a brain fart there. Sorry, but Earl Spence. So Earl Spence is either going to fight Lamont Peterson or Sean Porter for the IBF title, because this is rumor now. I don't know, because allegedly Kell Brooks has made it clear he's not coming back down to 147. He's supposed to vacate the title, and that's supposed to be the fight to determine a new IBF welterweight champion. I hope we find out sooner rather than later. And that would be a good fight to put on. I mean, that would be a nice night if I'm Al Heyman. That's like I said, the night of welters. I put those three fights on. Thurman, making his thing, and Danny Garcia, Andre Berto, and the Earl Spence versus Porter or Peterson, whatever, and night of welters, and shit. I mean, that would be, honestly, if they were smart, that would be a good card for Bob Arum and Al Heyman them to go in on together. Because the Manny Pacquiao Jesse Vargas fight is not a pay-per-view fight. Now I see Bob Arum is now talking about he's going to put stack that undercard with Nonito Donaire supposed to be on there, and he's supposed to put Lomachenko Salido 2 on that card too. Now that looks like something. Unfortunately for Uncle Bob, he's going to try to put that shit on pay-per-view. It's not going to do good numbers. I'm sorry, Bob. It's just not. Bob Arum, should really think about. Put that shit on free TV, man. Put that put that shit on free TV in prime time. Get your numbers, and that'll be a good fight for Manny. It'll be a good fight for Jesse Vargas. It'll be a big fight. It'll be a good introduction to the American public, really, for Lomachenko. Lomachenko, that would be a good introduction to them for Lomachenko. A good introduction, Nonito Donaire, that'll broaden his audience because now he's on network TV. That will broaden their audience and make them more marketable. But like I said, Bob's going to do what Bob does. These guys are going to do what they do. That's just my opinion, what I would do with it. Looking forward to it. So that's all I had for now. Till next time. This is Doe Wilkes signing out till next time. If you have any opinions, thoughts, please put them in the comment section, and like to talk to you again. Have a good one.